first welcome you here to Lancaster House and thank you all for coming here this morning. Fairly dramatic events. The capture of Srebrenica and it now appears Zepa. There is a very clear risk, I put it at its lightest, a very clear risk that Gorazde and Sarajevo may be the next targets of Serb aggression. But neither is the crisis confined just to the eastern enclaves. In many parts of Bosnia today, UN troops are frankly unable to carry out the tasks that have been allotted to them. They've been fired at, threatened by all sides, taken hostage, and blockaded in their compounds. Bangladeshi troops in Bihać, for example, have seen some of the worst fighting range around them. I believe that we've reached a turning point for the United Nations mission. I invited you here because I believe that new collective decisions are urgently needed, and we simply cannot afford different noises from different capitals. We need to be clear what we are about and to speak clearly and with a single voice. What's at stake, I think, goes wider than Bosnia. We face a fundamental challenge to our ability to work together effectively to cope with chaos and disorder. And I think, therefore, we need both to come to a united view and set clear guidelines for future decisions. Clearly, it can't stay if its personnel are to be attacked, captured, threatened, and then humiliated. It simply can't stay to be abused as a shelter behind which the armies attack one another. It cannot stay and do its work if its movements are impeded, and it cannot operate if the parties to the conflict don't provide the necessary level of consent and cooperation. Unachieved. What I believe we must do today is to spell out in unmistakable terms the consequences of further attacks against unprofor and against areas designated by the United Nations. And when we spell out in unmistakable terms the consequences, we must mean what we say, and we must be determined to carry out what we say. In particular, we must face up to the threats to Gorazde and to supply routes. The Bosnian Serb leaders have threatened Gorazde directly. I believe that we should decide today that they would pay a very high price if they tried to carry out those threats. Our response to an attack on Gorazde should be very severe. United Nations resolutions provide for action. Air power is available. We need to decide how it could best be used to support our objectives.